Happy Monday! Today is Monday, April 27th, and in math we're continuing fractions, especially fractions on a number line. That's going to be huge this week. So make sure to keep your number line poster, page 229 from our math journal handy so that we can work through it. Our story this week, again, is a nonfiction story, but this time it's narrative nonfiction. That means it's going to tell a person's story that really happened to them through a nonfiction setting, but it's going to be real, and we're going to learn information from that. So it will include the different parts of informational text structures. It'll have ideas. It'll be in time order. There might be problem solution and compare and contrast. So it might show different things of the nonfiction to go with it. So we will start with math. Today's math lesson is lesson 7-6, fractions on a number line. So I want you to take out page 229. I actually ripped mine out so that I can have it side by side with our journal page 232 and 233. So let's get that out, and I'll give you a second to get that while I get mine, and just follow along as I teach you. So you go grab that stuff, pause it and grab it, and I'll get our video ready. So here is page 229 that I ripped out. Right here was all filled out. Of course, you guys have yours filled out. Right now would be a really good time to double check, because I'll show you what it should be. This is 1 whole. So this is 0 out of 1. This is 1 out of 1, 1 whole. 0 halves, 1 half, 2 halves. 0 quarters, 1 quarter or 1/4. 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Now we're eighths. 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. For thirds, 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. And finally the sixths. 0/6, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6. So double check those against yours, and we'll see how this can help us on our page 232. So page 232 actually begins our lesson. So if you look at this page, you're going to find that it reminds me of our morning work. It's got nothing there for us, a little dot. We need to find out what each of these are, and then there'll be questions to go with it. So, well, here's a 0 and here's a 1. That means nothing's larger than 1. I just have to find out how many pieces this is divided into. So we do that by looking at the chunks of the line. So let's see. There's 1 chunk, 2 chunks, 3 chunks. That's divided into 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. So that's thirds. I know my bottom number is going to be 3 because that's how many pieces it's divided into. Whenever it's a 0, you have nothing there. So there's 0/3. Our first one is 1/3 because that's one of the 3 pieces. This one would be 2/3. 1, 2, and this one is 1, 2, 3/3 on the number line. Does that make sense? 3 pieces. If it's all the way here, it's 3/3. If it's only to here, it's 2/3. If it's only to here, it's 1/3. And if it's just here, it's 0/3. This next one, number line B, is tricky. And if you're not looking closely, it will confuse you. So we have to look at it in a couple of different ways. It goes 0, then 1, then 2. There's a couple of different ways to look at this, and I'll show you. So between 0 and 1, how many pieces do you see? I see from here to here, that's 1. And from here to here, that's 1. So we have 1, 2 pieces. Okay, 2 pieces there. So let's put that bottom number as a 2. Again, this is nothing here. 0 halves. From here to here is 1 half. From here to here is 2 halves. That makes 1 whole. If we're not looking at this, we have to look at what our number lines have. From 0 to 1, and then 1 to 2. How many pieces do you see from 1 to 2? I see 1, 2. There are 2 pieces there. So this bottom number is going to be a 2. This one is going to be a 2. It's going to look so weird though. If I'm past 1, that means I already have 1 whole. 1 whole of something. So let's say this is a cookie. And I divided the cookies in half. Here's my cookie. Here's half of the cookie. And here's the whole cookie. Because it's 2 halves. Now I have this whole cookie plus this piece. What does this piece represent out of these? 1 out of the 2 beyond there. But remember, this is 1 and 1 half, because you already went there. So 1 and 1 half. So we put a big 1 here. 1 and 1 half. This is still 1 and 2 halves now. 1 and 2 halves. But guess what that really is? That really equals 2. 1 whole cookie, 1 and 1 half, 2 halves. That equals 2. Because every time these match, that's a new 1. New 1 whole. So this is like 1 plus another whole gives us 2. The other way you could look at it, I'm going to try and do it in blue for you. You could look at this whole thing as 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So this could be no, that's wrong. Ignore me. That's not right. This is the best way to look at it. So just ignore that. I was trying to do something different. I was in quarters. If these were quartered again, and it was 1 and 1 quarter, that would be like 5 quarters. So just ignore. This is correct. Okay, number line C. These aren't necessarily my favorite, but they remind me of a ruler. So when you have your ruler, we know that we have 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4. 1 and 1 quarter, 1 and 1 half, 1 and 3 quarters, 2. 2, 2 and 1 quarter, 2 and a half, 2 and 3 quarters, 3. And it would go on like that forever. We did talk about that in our math lessons, but I know it's been so long since we've been together for real. So we'll just have to remember that. So number line C really reminds me of this. Only looking between the 0 and the 2. So if I look between the 0 and the 1, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So my bottom number, I'm going to have it be 4, because there are 4 pieces here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces here as well. So we can go through and label each piece to see what it will look like. This is 0/4. From here to here is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Now here's what I was getting at for this one. I can continue to change this into improper fractions. If I have 5/4, that is the same as 1 1/4. That's what I was getting at in my first one, but I just botched it. So this is 1 plus 1/4. See how that is? If every notch is 1/4, then this is 1 1/4, or 5/4. You won't see these improper fractions a whole lot. You'll see mixed numbers, which is what I'm getting at with you. So anyway, 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, whoa, 6/4, and I'm going to leave these two for you. Look at how the numerators are progressing. If this is 1 1/4, then this falls at 1 1/2. So try those out. This is tricky, but I want you to try it. I wish we were together. I wish we were together. And then for number line D, we have to look at how many pieces again. Oh my gosh, this is another mixed fraction improper. But in between 0 and 1, we have 1, 2, 3 chunks. So we know our bottom number is going to be 3 no matter what, even across here. 1, 2, 3. You just have to find out how the numerators change as you go. That's what I want you to try for this page, 232. If you flip it, on page 233, it's asking you now to label it. They've done the first few for you. They've done 4/4, 4/4, 8/4 with this improper fraction. So just here's your hint. Look at what the top is doing. The bottom number is not changing. The denominator doesn't change. The numerator does. So it's asking you, it says blank names the point on the number line. This is the one you're trying to figure out. But of course, to do that, you need to label the rest of these. So I want you guys to try that. And number 2 also asks you to label this dot. What is this dot on the number line? Of course, you need to go through and write what it should be. Write the fractions there. Same for number 3. Number 3 doesn't, this time they don't tell you how many chunks. You have to figure that out using what we've learned from our number poster and from the previous page. So I want you guys to try these on your own. This one completely on your own. You have to look at how many chunks are in here, okay? Number 4 says circle all the fractions greater than 1 on the number line. This page and the page before. What do you notice about fractions greater than 1? So you're circling all the fractions greater than 1 on these 2 pages. Greater means bigger than. So that means it's an improper fraction. The numerator is larger than the denominator. Numerator larger than denominator. Okay, that's what you're trying. Numerator larger than the denominator. That's the biggest part of our lesson. And then if you look on page 234, that's where we've got math boxes. So in here on our math boxes, You are dividing this fraction into equal parts and shading what it asks you to shade. You are solving these, and then you're going to circle the ones that make 24. Remember, this is order of operations. Label 1/2 and shade, and compare the two. Ooh, time. Cool. You get to write the hands on the clock, and then tell me what time it's going to be 30 minutes from this time. So you got to add 30 minutes to that. And then this one's asking you to think about what you did in problem 1. And it's telling you how a girl did it. This is the harder part of our math boxes because it's more view, the writing to explain. So check those out. And if you have any trouble, I'll be with you tomorrow during our Zoom at 6 tomorrow night on Tuesday, okay? So I will talk to you guys later.